Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the True AI podcast. I'm Sarah Parker, and today we are navigating a series of developments that represent a fundamental shift in the AI industry. We are moving away from the era of experimental chatbots and into an era of massive consolidation, physical integration, and significant regulatory conflict. Joining me today to analyze the implications of these moves is my co-host, Alan Hernandez. Alan, the scale of the capital we're seeing today is difficult to overstate.
It really is, Sarah. We aren't just looking at big checks anymore. We are looking at the literal construction of the infrastructure for the next decade of computing.
On the agenda today, Nvidia's move to finalize a $20 billion investment in OpenAI, the $1 trillion merger between SpaceX and xAI, the launch of autonomous agent software with OpenAI's Codex, and a critical investigation by the UK's ICO regarding deepfakes. Let's start with the hardware king. Reports have confirmed that Nvidia is finalizing a $20 billion investment in OpenAI as part of a funding round that values the startup at $830 billion. Alan, on the surface, this might just look like a rich company getting richer. But what is the deeper strategic play here?
This is about securing the supply chain of intelligence. For OpenAI, this isn't just cash. It's a golden ticket to Nvidia's production line. We're talking about the new Blackwell and Rubin architectures. These chips are essentially the super brains required to train GPT-6 and beyond. By bringing Nvidia into the fold as a massive stakeholder, OpenAI ensures they aren't just another customer. They are the priority customer.
I have to push back on the priority aspect. If you're a competitor, say Anthropic or a smaller medical research lab, how can you possibly compete when the person selling the chips also owns a massive chunk of your biggest rival? This feels like a vertical monopoly in the making.
It's a valid concern, a closed loop as analysts call it. If Nvidia and OpenAI are this tightly integrated, the barrier to entry for a new player becomes almost insurmountable. However, the positive side is the sheer speed of innovation. Scientific AI, particularly in fields like proteomics and climate science, requires compute power on a scale we've never seen. This $20 billion ensures that the most capable models have the most capable hardware without the friction of market bidding.
But at what cost to the public? If there's no competition, there's no pressure to lower prices or diversify the technology. We also have to consider the antitrust implications. The Department of Justice is already looking at AI partnerships. A $20 billion handshake between the chip leader and the model leader is going to be a red flag for regulators globally. It effectively locks the industry's operating system and hardware together.
I agree the consolidation is intense, but in the race for AGI, artificial general intelligence, the resources required are so vast that only these kinds of super alliances might actually be capable of reaching the finish line.
Moving from one alliance to a total merger, Elon Musk has officially combined xAI with SpaceX, creating a $1.25 trillion entity. This isn't just a corporate reshuffling, it's being framed as a move toward physical AI. Alan, can you break down why a rocket company needs a large language model?
It's about moving AI out of the cloud and into the physical world. Think about the complexity of a Starship launch or the management of the Starlink constellation, which now includes thousands of satellites. By integrating xAI's Grok models directly into SpaceX's engineering, they can run real-time simulations that were previously impossible. We're talking about AI that can optimize flight paths mid-burn or design new alloys for Mars-bound spacecraft in a fraction of the time.
My concern is the lack of oversight. We are now seeing the world's primary space transport, a global satellite internet backbone, and a frontier AI company, all controlled by a single board and a single CEO.
From an engineering standpoint, though, the super merger solves the compute bottleneck. xAI was burning nearly $1 billion a month. SpaceX's revenue streams, especially from Starlink, provide the capital to keep xAI in the fight against its competitors. It turns a speculative AI project into a core component of a profitable aerospace giant.
But physical AI also means physical risk. If an AI model managing a satellite mesh or a rocket's landing sequence has a hallucination or a logic error, the consequences aren't just a wrong answer on a screen, it's orbital debris or a catastrophic hardware failure. Is the public ready for that level of automated control over critical infrastructure?
It's a high-stakes bet, certainly, but it could get us to Mars a decade earlier than planned. It's the ultimate high-risk, high-reward scenario.
We have to pivot now to a much more somber and immediate issue. The UK's Information Commissioner's Office, the ICO, has launched a formal investigation into X and xAI. This follows reports of the Grok tool being used to generate non-consensual sexualized deepfakes. Alan, this feels like a systemic failure of guardrails.
It is, and we need to be very direct here. There is no innovation excuse for this. Using AI to generate non-consensual imagery of real people is a violation of human rights and personal safety. It is a misuse of the technology that we both agree is entirely unacceptable.
What's particularly troubling is that xAI claimed their filters were robust, yet users found workarounds almost instantly. The UK's Online Safety Act is now being put to the test. If found negligent, X could face fines of up to 4% of their global turnover.
The good news here, if you can call it that, is that regulators are finally moving from stern letters to legal action. They are demanding that safety be baked in by design, not added as an afterthought after people have already been harmed.
But it reveals a deeper truth. Despite the billions of dollars we just discussed, these companies still haven't figured out how to stop their tools from being weaponized. If you can't control a chatbot's image generator, how can we trust the physical AI in rockets or cars we discussed earlier? It's an issue of trust that the industry is currently failing.
It's a wake-up call. The industry needs a standardized, foolproof method for content authentication and safety filtering. Until then, these stories will continue to overshadow the technological progress.
Finally, let's look at a new tool that is changing the workplace, OpenAI's Codex app. It's moving beyond the chat interface. It's an agent, a standalone application that lives on your computer and can execute complex coding tasks autonomously.
This is the shift from AI as a consultant to AI as a worker. Codex doesn't just suggest a line of code, it manages entire projects. It can debug across multiple files, run its own tests, and even deploy software. For a solo developer, this is like having a full engineering team at your fingertips.
That productivity sounds great for the business owner, but let's talk about the workforce. If Codex can handle the debugging and the boilerplate coding, the basic stuff, what happens to junior developers?
The entry-level role will have to evolve. Instead of being the person who writes the code, the junior developer becomes the person who directs and audits the AI. It shifts the skill set from syntax to system design.
But you learn system design by writing the syntax. If we automate the bottom rung of the career ladder, we might be cutting off the pipeline for future senior engineers. We're also seeing a massive threat to companies like GitHub and specialized coding startups. OpenAI is essentially creating a winner-take-all environment.
It definitely puts the pressure on. But imagine the software we could see in the next 2 years. We're going to see a flood of new applications because the cost of building them has just dropped by 90%.
A flood of software also means a flood of potential security vulnerabilities if people trust the AI too much for the sake of speed. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the multi-billion-dollar alliances of Nvidia and OpenAI to the safety failures of Grok and the automation of the software industry. It's clear that AI is no longer a future technology. It is the engine of the current global economy.
And as that engine gets faster, the need for these discussions only grows.
Thank you for joining us on the True AI podcast. We want to hear from you. Does the super merger of SpaceX and xAI make you feel more or less optimistic about the future of space? And do you think the UK's investigation will finally force AI labs to prioritize safety?
Let us know in the comments, and we'll see you tomorrow for the next episode.